All right, everybody. All right, how we doing? How we doing? How we doing? All right. All right. No, there's no points added. There's no points added. I made it just in time. Look, we gotta play this game every time. Look, look. Here. Here we go. There we go. All right, you can see how long I've been live for. Everyone can see how long I've been live for, correct? All right, it's going to be close. I agree it's going to be close, but we make it. We make it. So live for 7:58, 59. Done. Yeah, we made it. We're still in the range. We made it. It was tight though. I agree it was tight. I agree it was tight. It was a photo finish. I was stressed. All right. All right, everybody. I need a haircut. It's haircut time. Yeah, it's haircut time. It's haircut time. Who remembers when I was trying the long hair experiment for, oh my god, for I don't know how God knows how long. That was a mistake. That one was a big mistake. And you guys just let me keep it for a long time. You guys should have been, well, I guess you told me every day that it didn't look good. So, can't really blame you all that much. All right. How we doing? How we doing? No, you don't get a late point. All right. Abrar Ahmed, thanks for being a Yonko tier member for 10 months, man. Morge, hope you are doing well. This stretch of chapters one of the best ones in the series. Also, it's December already. Will we get Wano analysis? I hope so. I hope so. I have to admit, I've not had time to work on it in the last 2 weeks. But I was hoping I could get it done by Christmas. Yeah, this stretch of chapters is one of the best ones in the series. Yeah, it's definitely one of the most significant stretch of chapters in One Piece, for sure. This is like, I think we'll be able to, Casey, no. Sorry, I gotta watch, I'm on dog watching duty somewhat, so I gotta make sure she's not licking her stitches area. Yeah, I think that this is definitely one of the best stretches. I think maybe the one thing holding it back was I think a lot of people weren't as hyped by the end of the events of God Valley, is what seems to be the case. So I think that's like, the ending's always going to matter. Casey? Yeah, the ending's always going to be play a big role in that, in long-term perception. So, I don't know. Like, people really loved the end of Marineford and how everything played out. Months, man. Hey, Morge, what is one thing that isn't guaranteed that you think would be cool to see? Personally, I think that the Monkey D family should fight together. I think that would be really cool. One thing that I think would be cool, that isn't guaranteed that I think would be cool to see, is a large team-up of characters against Emu. I think, regardless of whether or not Luffy is the one to defeat Emu, I think seeing a lot of other characters fight Emu in a team-up fashion would be really good. Top tier Treviso, what's up, man? Thanks for the 5. In the final war, how do you expect Luffy versus Blackbeard to happen? Like versus Kaido, or more like versus Lucci or Crocodile? It's kind of tricky, because, like, I can't really imagine Blackbeard, like, doing a really long... I still just don't view Blackbeard as, like, a natural fighter, if anything. Like, the way that, all of Luffy's longest fights against Kaido, obviously, but Katakuri, Lucci, Blackbeard is just kind of this dude who's never really shown good fighting instincts. He kind of just rides his devil fruit. I just can't imagine can't imagine him keeping up with Luffy in speed. Like, I'm just trying to imagine what the fight would look like, and I'm having difficulty. So, I don't know. Blackbeard needs some buff before the end of it all. Oh, shit, is there an audio issue? Oh, hello, testing. According to this, it says the audio is fine. Sounds like people can hear him. Chat got dropped on their heads. Yeah, I guess just do what Chinuela Bachia suggested. Sorry about that. Because on my end it says it's all good. Um, yeah, yeah, yeah. So what? What we're looking for here? Yeah, it seems like audio is being fixed. All right, so this is going to be a relatively long topic, so I kind of wanted to get into it sooner than later. So, what I wanted to do is do a tier list of how relevant, how impactful we think pretty much all the characters in One Piece are going to be in the final war. So it's going to be kind of a long one. So this is one where we can't dilly-dally like we usually do. We just got to jump into it. And it's going to be side characters, right? Because if we do Straw Hats, then Straw Hats are obviously most important characters in the story. Higuma's the most important. If you can't hear, then do a refresh. Yeah, more on topic. I think for the sake of this. Also, just because I had a really long weekend, so I want to be able to. The sooner I can get to, I don't want to do the thing where I spend like an hour or 2 hours not talking about the topic, then I start the topic, and then I'm in the topic for like another 2 hours, and then it's like, okay, fuck, it's really fucking late. I haven't eaten. It's gonna be a long time before I can sleep. I would like to actually be able to go to bed at a normal hour tonight, so that's the that's the goal. So we're gonna do One Piece characters. We're gonna do no villains. We're not doing villains. It's gonna be good guys. And here's the demarcation. All right, the demarcation is cross-skilled onwards counts as good guys. Those are the rules. Cross-skilled onwards are the good guys. So, in terms of like how bad a character can get, we will max out with them at cross-skilled. Cross-skilled bad guys are allowed to stay. But then everyone beyond that, meaning obviously no Celestial Dragons allowed, no Blackbeard Pirates on the list, no Bootlicker Marines, meaning Green Bull, Kizaru, the types, they're not allowed. Akainu is allowed. No, Akainu's not allowed. Yeah, all the Marines, good guy Marines like Kobe, etc. are allowed. Yeah, it includes cross-skilled. Yeah, we're not going to do villains just because it's kind of like, we all know who, then it just get, I don't know, there's no point in doing the villains in my opinion, because then it's like, well, what's the fun of trying to guess like how important Vasco Shot is going to be or whatever. It's more so like from the protagonist side of things, and I personally think at the end of the day, cross-skilled, just from the portrayal it has been doing so far, is meant to be, I think they're going to be like anti-heroes more than villains at the end of the day. Computer Visa was asking, I was asking more of, do you think Luffy will need help to get stronger than EOS Blackbeard, or will he be at his peak versus him and him alone? So my thought on that is, I think that Luffy versus Blackbeard will essentially be a 1v1. But I think that this is a little pet theory that I've had for a bit. I think that Gear 5th Luffy's stamina limit isn't going to go away, and I think that the fact that Oda set it up such that the key to Luffy being able to sustain Gear 5th is food. I would not be surprised if in the final fight, like, Sanji's regularly having to cook him food. I think that'd be a really cool way to, because I imagine in the final war, all of the Straw Hats' individual greatest strengths will be a part of Luffy's final, like, not final battle, but just over the course of the final war, like, how's everything resolved? I think everyone will get their time to shine. I like to believe that Sanji will have to keep cooking to feed Luffy over the course of the final battle. So, however you view that, in terms of like, is that Luffy's strength or what? Like, how fair you think that is? That's your call, you know. All right. Do you want to do a tier list or a top number? I think there's so many characters that I kind of want to do it by tiers in terms of like extremely important to like yeah, I think I want to do it by grouping. So we need basically a list of like a shit ton of One Piece characters. Hold on. I'm pulling up a couple of options. Don't you all worry. Oh my god, there's too many One Piece characters, though, is the problem. Too many One Piece characters. Oh, I like this list. I found a pretty good list. Oh no, this guy quit partway through. Did he quit partway through? Can't tell. No, I think I found a pretty good list. This list looks good. Yeah. Yeah, I think I found actually a phenomenal list. Hey, Casey. No. This might be the best possible list I could have hoped for. Yeah, this is great. Okay, found a perfect list. That's rare that I get that lucky with this. All right, hold on. Let me do a backup thing just in case. So, here, we'll call it new folder, most relevant characters. All right. All right. Oh, also I have news. Tomorrow's video is not coming out tomorrow. It'll come out Wednesday. It got slightly delayed due to the events of this weekend. But it will come out. Nevertheless, you all don't worry about that. It's just coming out slightly later than expected. Okay. Yeah, I think this is perfect. I think we got it. I think we got what we're looking for right here. I think there's no need to look any further. Here, let me show you guys. What I'm looking at. Okay, I'm gonna move some shit around. I'm a little bit worried. I hope this. Okay. All right. Did my camera freeze? No, did not freeze. Good shit. All right. Where are we at? Here we go. Take a look. Whoops. Didn't do anything. All right, now take a look. What? Didn't do anything. All right, now take a look. There we go. Actually, let me move this. Hold on. Okay, now take a look. All right. Y'all see that? Do we like this? I think it's pretty good. Henchme987, thanks to 5. Just want to brag. I have a date with a 6'2" baddie this Friday. I feel like Kapan right now. Insert tasteless joke about Mountain Eater here. Hey, congrats. All right. How tall are you if you don't mind us asking? Everyone shouts in the chat for Henchme. Justin, thanks for the 5. When is the new chapter review? 2. Maybe the top 5 of Luffy's allied groups directly connected to Nika at the top of the list with Straw Hat, Grand Fleet, middling. Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, with Straw Hat, Grand Fleet kind of like in the middle tier. Yeah, that could make sense. Chapter review. So chapter review did have to be scrapped for this Saturday because instead we got at the Shanks video. So the chapter review had to be sacrificed for the Shanks video, unfortunately. Generally speaking, so on Saturdays are when chapter reviews come out. But if we do a video that is dedicated to a specific topic on a Saturday, then generally we have to sacrifice the chapter review because then it's too many videos to get out, basically. But my simple review of the chapter is I liked it. I liked it a lot. What did Henchme say? Do we have any update? I don't see a... Oh, 5'10". All right. And since most guys lie about their height, that means that you're probably like 5'9". So, yeah, that'll be fun. I hope you have a good time, man. Tiptia says, I prefer the chapter review. It is what it is. Maybe we can figure out ways to make it more efficient in the future and do both. But for the moment, that's just the way it's got to be. All right. So, first, forgot to ask this. Let's get stream likes up. Let's get stream likes up to 50. Let's get stream likes up to 50 real quick. All right. So here's how we're going to do it, right? We got a shit ton of characters. We don't have to do everybody. If we're forgetting somebody, here's our simple test of if this is like a good list, right? Is all of the 12 characters that Vegapunk listed, are they all here, right? So we obviously got Luffy. We got Buggy in here, right? We got Buggy. We got Shanks. We got... Make sure Mihawk's in here, right? Mihawk. I know he's not one of the 12, I'm just remembering. We got Dragon in here. We got Dragon. Yeah, I mean, it looks good. It looks good. Like, Blackbeard's in here. Yeah, I think that's pretty... Yeah, I think that's pretty good. Kainu, we got Aokiji. Where's Aokiji at? If it's all in order, Aokiji should be right around. There we go. Yeah, I think I'm seeing... I see what I need to see. I see what I need to see here, right? I think the only character potentially missing from here is Loki. That's important. I don't know if I want to put Loki in, though, because I don't know if Loki will be alive. Motherly Love 619, thanks for the 10. There's a lot of duos that couldn't be Rox Herald. That couldn't be Rox Herald, Roger, Garp, Shanks, Mihawk, Akainu, Aokiji, where one wants the other. There's a lot of duos that couldn't be Rox Herald, Roger Garp, Shanks, Mihawk, Akainu, Aokiji, where one wants the other. Oh, on their team, and the other refuses. Is Loki Luffy's duo, or is it Zoro, since no other red-haired is going to reach height slit? Since no other... RH? Red hair is going to reach heights like World's Strongest Swordsman? Oh, I see what you're saying. I mean, I'll always say Luffy's crew is unique. I think that... I've explained this before, but there is less of a gap between Luffy and his... I've done multiple videos breaking this down. You have crews like the Whitebeard Pirates or the Beast Pirates or whatever, where or the Big Mom Pirates, where there's like big gaps between the first mate, the commanders, and the captain. Then you have groups like Red-Haired Pirates, where the gap might be a bit smaller. And then Roger's crew, just considering how strong like Rayleigh and Gaban are, like they're both Conqueror's Haki users themselves, advanced Conqueror's Haki users. Both advanced Conqueror's Haki users themselves, both considered legends themselves, right? Then the gap's even smaller. And then you got, I think Luffy's crew, the gap might be even smaller. It's hard to say. And then, yeah, and then you had the Rox Pirates, where Rox basically had a bunch of characters that are like probably not that far off from him. I mean, they are far off from him, how do I say, but it's like Whitebeard is probably the closest. Whitebeard on Rox's crew was probably the closest that a first mate has been to a captain that we've seen in the story, you know? Because probably by a couple years later, Whitebeard is like practically on the same level as Rox, if not as strong or stronger, however you want to, whatever your opinion is. Random guy, thanks for the 5. Didn't Fisher Tiger climb the red line before freeing the slaves at Marijua? Retcon. Also, do you see New Generation fighting against... Casey, no. You see New Generation fighting against Emu like Kobe, Sabo, Law? No, the new generation would get there. They would be so insignificant. It's not even. I don't even know how to describe it. Um, I think it's the middle-aged characters that would fight against Emu. You know, I've done the video on this before, but Shanks, Dragon, Blackbeard, those type of characters. Um, as for Fisher Tiger, I remember seeing a lot of discussions about that. I'm gonna be honest. So Fisher Tiger's story was that he was a slave. His story was that he was a slave, right? Originally, he was a slave. Then he escaped. I don't remember exactly, but I vaguely remember that my interpretation was like Fisher Tiger was a slave. He escaped, and then he later climbed back up to free other slaves or something like that. I don't know if this is a retcon or this is revealing the truth, or if we were supposed to understand from the beginning that he never climbed the red line, or what. Yeah. Then you got the Blackbeard parts where one of his crewmates is stronger than himself. I don't even count Aokiji, because Aokiji is like, I literally view him as like a dude that's going to betray Blackbeard down the line. I view him as a dude that's inside man or something like that. Anyway. Okay. All right, let's get into it. So a lot of characters we're not going to rank here, because I don't want to rank all of these fucking characters, right? Okay. Here, let's just start with this. Main characters, right? So to give an idea, main characters are obviously, here we go, max significance, easy, most important characters in the story, nobody else really close, most important characters, right? These are our heroes. Main characters, we could not even include them, but is there any point including the Strahds or not? I don't know. Let's go from here, right? Main characters. All right. Equal significance to Straw Hats, right? What if we say that? Equal significance to Straw Hats, I think, in the Final War. Just only in the context of the Final War, right? Huge role. Wait, big roles. Equal significance to Straw Hats. Big roles. Notable players. Some screen time. Basically background characters. I think you guys want to do this? Does this make sense? I'll just write main characters. Main characters, because yeah, I'll just write main characters. I'll get the Straw Hats off of it. How about that? That makes it easier. Some moments. Is Loki on there? Loki's not on there, but I don't want to put Loki on there because I feel like he might die. So I'm just like, I just don't know if he's gonna die, then do we include him? I'll make this to your Straw Hats, right? Straw Hats, then I'll say main characters. Let's get the streamlines up to 50 real quick. Loki is just a really hard character for me to place because I'm like, so unlike lots of characters, right? Loki's, so there's two categories of characters, right? Which are, not two categories. First, let's get the streamlines to 50. Let's get the streamlines to 50 as I collect my thoughts. So, the tricky thing about Loki, the really tricky thing about Loki is that you've got characters who are important. So we've got Straw Hats, right? Straw Hats are in one category, right? Then you've got characters like, here, this is simple, right? Shanks, will be a main character in the final war. That's Oda's pretty much said that in interviews and everything like that. So you got characters like Shanks, right? You got characters like Dragon. These are characters who have been in the story from very long. They're top tiers who we've really yet to see do their thing. And they're obviously going to be a big deal in the final war, right? And they're super strong, yada yada. We'll get to see them fight, okay? Then you've got other characters that fall into that main character sort of significance, where it's like something like Vivi, right? Vivi we can put in here, but she's not that strong, right? So she's not going to take a fight. Even characters like Kobe, Sabo, like those characters are very strong, but they're not going to be like Yonko tier characters at the end of the day, unless you're like an absolutely insane Sabo fan, right? But Kobe, Sabo, potentially Law, very important characters, most likely in the final saga, but unlikely to be like Yonko tier characters, right? And these are characters that we've really met over the course of the story. Loki is really tricky because he's the first character that's been introduced to us over the course of like late game in the story, who is a good guy, right? Modern day, right? Not none of the past, right? First character being introduced to us who's going to be a protagonist, but who's also seemingly like a Yonko tier level character, right? Seemingly. That's a very, very difficult, that's very unique, because once you throw Loki in, then that's kind of like, okay, somebody of that status being thrown in the story, where's the room for him in the final saga? Like, who is he supposed to fight? Who is his opponent? Who's his enemy? It's really, really difficult to find someone for someone like that, you know? Just decide Loki later after choosing everyone else. Yeah, we could do that. JWP, thanks for the 5. There's a genuine argument that based off what Oda has said, Shanks may be in his own tier or Straw Hat tier. Yeah. I think there is a genuine argument. Even just facts that Oda views Shanks as a self-insert. Okay, so here's the deal with crewmates. I don't know how much I want to get here. I think Ben Beckman could fall under notable players, and then I think this, and I think maybe that because he's Usopp's dad. Does that feel right? Basically background characters. There we go. I think Kobe is like a main character status. Galvita falls in there. Okay, so am I going too fast? I think I'm going too fast. Right? A lot of characters I don't even feel like ranking. Okay. Let's slow down. Let's slow this down. So, main character. Let me try and figure out here. Let me do this. I think characters who I think are main characters. Let me give an example for each tier, right? So let me give you guys an example for what I'm thinking for each tier. I think like big roles and notable players sound similar, right? So I think, for example, Mihawk is going to have a big role, but I don't think he's going to be a main character in this, right? That's an example. Like, I think he would have a bigger role than, like, Shanks' subordinates, but I don't think he'll be treated as a main character type storyline. Does that make sense? Where do I think Ace goes? In the grave. All right. So does this make sense? So let's start going through it. I think basically background character. Here we go. Yeah, I think... You know what? We need one more tier. That's what I'm missing. One more tier. And this tier will basically be... cameo appearances. Super minor. Yeah. Characters who aren't even there. Won't be physically involved. There we go. Yeah, I think this makes sense. Let's say super minor. I like that. Super minor. All right. Some screen time. Super minor. Yeah. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking right now. Smoker is a notable... Smoker's a good example of I don't know where to put him. I think we'll get some shots of this mayor dude. We'll get some shots of him. Yeah, these characters won't be there, though. Right? There we go. Yeah. All right. Yeah, she's dead. We actually might see Django. I don't think he's going to be significant enough to... No, he's... Okay, you know what? You know what? He might be... I think... Is there a tier above this? These are main characters, right? Like, what am I trying to say here? Main characters really important. This is, I think, characters with big roles. So I think, for example, Mihawk could go here. I think Boa Hancock could go here. I think Crocodile could go here. But they're not going to be treated like main characters. Then I think these characters are going to be somewhat significant. But, like, there's not going to be storylines that center around them. They're going to be additional pieces to other storylines. I think these get some screen time. Yeah, I think this fits. I think this fits. Okay, yeah, he would go here. Django super minor? Yeah. I was thinking we need another tier where we put Django even lower. Like characters I don't think that won't even get dialogue or some shit. Let's get Streamlabs up to 50 real quick. If I put Django above Makino, he's... I think he'll still be in there. I think he'll be in the fray. Fine. Do we think Django goes in super minor or not? Here, we can do a vote. We can do a poll. I don't want to do a poll for everybody here. Here we go. All right, so One Piece. What is this? One Piece, One Life. Nice name. Thanks for the 5. Yo, Morge, with the reveal that Shirahoshi is Mosa, and Mosa said where they're at is burning, is something happening to Fishman Island? Like maybe Blackbeard is attacking. Yeah, I really thought that Blackbeard would attack Wano and prioritize that over Fishman Island. Because it's just like, why would he attack a place under the sea? He doesn't even have any fishermen himself. I just don't know how he would manage that attack. Oh, fuck. Oh, shit. Oh, my God. If Oda did this, he's a genius. All right? If Oda did this, he's a genius. Okay? Maybe Blackbeard is currently able to... Shit. Because the only way you could attack Fishman Island if you don't have fishmen is if you had a submarine. And I'm pretty sure Blackbeard just got his hands on a pretty nice-ass submarine, didn't he? That's crazy. Did Oda really set things up like that? Isn't that insane? They have a submarine now. They could attack Fishman Island. I did not think about that. It sank. All right. Then he's dumb, because he could really use that. He destroyed it. There's not just a lot of submarines sitting around in One Piece. Why would you destroy the only like that's a valuable thing to he coded his ship. That's true, but I figure that Fishman can just destroy coded ships easily, right? Like isn't their defense system pretty I always figured that like if you're going down to Fishman Island, you're pretty much at the mercy of the Fishmen. Cuz like we even saw Horty just went up and like cut the bubble around he was trying to cut the bubble in Noah in half or something like that. Like I figure if you're trying to come down to Fishman Island, especially when your entire crew is filled with devil fruit users, if fishmen really want to stop you, they would be able to do that, right? Because you have no way to combat them when they're swimming around the sea. I don't know. I guess we'll see. No, I know pirates visited Fishman Island all the time. And I know that Fishman Island used to have a pirate problem. But I figured that's just because there was too many pirate ships and stuff coming down. I'm saying that if Blackbeard and his core officers were trying to go down to Fishman Island, they should be able to pretty easily stop that. You know? Yeah, every single one of his subordinates has a fruit, so I just don't really get it. But we'll see. We'll see. All right, continuing on. Okay, so what's the deal with Django? We're putting him in Super Minor? All right, Super Minor for Django. All right, continuing on. Oh, Johnny and Yosaku. But they probably won't be physically involved, unfortunately. Full body goes where Django went. I don't think Zeph's going to be physically involved. I would love if Jin has a role, but just the fact that he is with Don Krieg right now suggests that he won't be physically involved. We're not including villains. I'm including Jin, but we're not including villains. Hatchi. Hatchi. Am I fucking crazy? What was Hachi's role in Fishman Island? What was his role in that storyline? Did he have a role? Did Hatchi have a role in the Fishman Island arc? I actually don't remember. Also, let's get streamlines up to 5. Not to detour, but your last stream, you mentioned you don't think Crosscode would be Yonko if not for Mihawk. You think there's still Yonko with Crocodile, Gecko, Dofi, and Buggy? No. No, I don't. Like, to put it simply, like, being a Yonko... I think people are putting like a lot of their definitions, but being a Yonko means that you can compete with the other Yonko. That's essentially what it means. Like you can survive in the ocean against other Yonko and actually maintain a territory against them. And the world government can't fuck with you. That's what it means to be a Yonko. Like we need to get permission before Marines like try to declare war against Yonko and stuff like that, right? If Mihawk is not there, then literally anyone can walk through and destroy Buggy's fleet, and most people, like most anybody strong, can defeat Crocodile, right? Other Yonko captains, whatever, right? Other Yonko first mates, even if you're kind of like Zoro and stuff like that, you know. With Mihawk, ta-da! Cross guild to Yonko crew. I think it's pretty black and white. Tiptio Treviso, thanks for the 2. Perhaps Pluton is a submarine. It's buried in water. Oh, maybe that's possible. Who knows? But so was Fishman Island, right? No, Fishman Island wasn't buried in water. Not Fishman Island, Noah. Buggy wasn't Warlord level either, but that's the gag. Yeah, but Warlord is ultimately just based on, like, does the world government want to pay you or not? Yonko actually demands, Yonko actually demands the military force to be able to survive against other Yonko. So, like, the simple thing I think people forget, Buggy's fleet is genuinely fodder. I think everybody forgets. Buggy's fleet's total military power, by New World standards, is close to 0. Because they were actually, the entire fleet was about to be wiped out by the Marines, so Crocodile came in and saved them, right? So the fleet has no value whatsoever. The first batch of Marines that were sent over pretty much would have captured the entire fleet. That's it. The first batch of Marines. And it's not like the sense of admirals or like any other shit. Whoever they sent over was weak enough that Crocodile could low diff that. So consider that. Basically, the fleet has... It's just not... The fleet is nothing, right? So Crossguild's military power is essentially... You don't even count the fleet, because the fleet is below a random Marine fleet, which can get low diff by Crocodile, right? So the fleet doesn't count. So Crossguild's military power is essentially Mihawk, then Crocodile, and then if you're being technical, Buggy's fleet exists, but it has no value, right? So what's the military power of Crossguild? 90% is Mihawk, 10% is Crocodile. That's not really debatable that they exist as a Yonko crew because of Mihawk. That's not a real thing. More just skipping supers? Oh, I'm sorry. Hold on. My bad. 1 second. Oh, shoot. I'm sorry about that. Ursula Yacht, thanks for the 5. Super interesting that we started the arc with a reminder of Alabasta X, and now we see that Emu brands his pets with a similar cross on their arm. Oh, I like that. That's a really good bit of symbolism that I didn't think about. That's a really good point. Yeah. Really good point. Marco says, don't diss Crocodile. They aren't weak. He's just too strong. My point is basically that, like, let's say I agree Crocodile's strong, but, like, let's say he's first mate level, right? Then that means, and he destroyed that entire fleet essentially by himself. Probably Das Bones involved as well, but it was light work for him, right? So an entire fleet that Crocodile could low diff, essentially, that fleet was about to had pretty much had Buggy's fleet on the ropes. So Buggy's fleet is even lower than that, right? So essentially, in terms of Crossguild's overall military power, Buggy's fleet is basically nothing compared to Crocodile's own military strength, right? In terms of military value, right? The fleet has... the fleet itself could be wiped out by Crocodile with zero problem, right? So the fleet versus Crocodile's way more valuable, right? And then Mihawk is like way more valuable than Crocodile. So you see what I'm saying here? There's no value to... But the whole idea of Buggy is that it's a gag. He's just a figurehead, right? He's not the reason that Crossguild is a Yonko group. His fleet is weak. His fleet has no strength. He has no strength. 99% of Crossguild's strength is from Mihawk and Crocodile, and really the vast majority of it is Mihawk. I missed Meek's super chat. I'm sorry, Meek. I'm sorry I'm missing multiple people. Hold on. What's going on here? I'm sorry about that. Let's see. Meek, thanks a lot for the 10. Since there was no 1167 review video, I wanted to ask what your thoughts are on Ida and Loki's emotional words and the fact that there's specifically 13 deep/abyssal contracts. So, two things, right? Ida and Loki's emotional... I like the Ida and Loki writing. I like that a lot. I like Loki's writing so far. I did think that was a great way to close the chapter. And I think obviously we're setting up for some emotional shit for Loki next chapter, right? So I think good stuff all around in terms of the writing around that. I think Oda's done a good job developing their little dynamic, even in the background of a lot of other things happening with Harold and Rox's whole storyline and everything. And I think it did hit when Loki's saying at the end, like, she's the only mother that I have in this world or whatever his line was. I think that was good. And it does make you feel for Loki. Loki's turning out to be a great character in the midst of all this. I like Loki a lot. 13 deep/abyssal contracts. I mean, it's tied to what I'm talking about in this Wednesday's video. So no video tomorrow. Wednesday we're dropping a video. This Wednesday's video, a big thing that I talk about is... It ties to that, the 13. But there's a lot of demonic and devil type symbolism that's associated with Emu. The 13 deep/abyssal contracts basically confirms for us that there's always going to be 5 Gorosei and 8 God's Knights, which I think is really useful information because it helps us kind of fill out what we expect the final opponents of One Piece will like. What are all the matchups that need to go down in the finale of One Piece? Teptio Treviso, thanks for the 2. Perhaps Pluton is a submarine. It's buried in water. Oh, no, we covered that. I was like, that seems very familiar. Yeah, I think Pluton's a ship, though. I think it's probably just really fucking good wood, so it'll be okay. Justin Holland, thanks for the 5. I wonder if part of this Elbaf arc knows how to balance freedom, responsibility, and the sense to do what is truly right. From canned voice of the people to... from canned voice of the people. 2 Straw Hat ships. I'm not gonna rank the Straw Hat ships in here because I don't think they're real characters, if that's what you're referring to. But I do agree that it's possible that freedom, responsibility, the sense to do what is right is going to be a difference maker or going to be a part of the Elbaf arc, because thematically I think Luffy's going to have to kind of face what it means to be Nika in this arc, potentially, because this arc is so focused on what it means to be Nika. So I'm curious how, like, you know, Luffy's sense of freedom and wanting to do what he wants to do might have to intersect here with the idea that, you know, there is a role that he is meant to play for the world. All right, keeping it moving. So, what the hell? Yeah, let's get the stream likes up to 100 real quick. Tiptier Treviso, thanks for the 2. I was talking Blackbeard uses Pluton to invade Fishman Island. Ah, no, that would be insane. That'd be a crazy 2-for-1, using one ancient weapon to invade the other. Even if Blackbeard did coding on Pluton, that would be an insane way to do it as well. Even if Pluton's not inherently, you know, one of those. All right, what was Hatchi's role in Fishman Island? Can anyone remind me? I actually don't remember Hatchi in Fishman Island too well. So excited for Kobe meeting Alvida again? Yeah, that would be crazy. They both basically had glow-ups. Crocodile, even more than as a combatant, is Yonko level strategist and schemer. There's no such thing as Yonko level strategist and schemers. Because Luffy's, like, Blackbeard is the only Yonko, I guess Big Mom also, who are truly strategic. You know? I guess you could say, like, Shanks has a good head on his shoulders. He's pretty wise. He does have he does have some level of strategy or whatever, but, like, Luffy, being good at strategy has nothing to do with being a Yonko, because Luffy's a Yonko, right? Luffy's a Yonko, Kaido's a Yonko, and his solution was just to hit things. He did have some long-term strategy, but he was generally guided to that by the old hag and shit like that, and then Orochi and stuff. There's not really, you don't need to be, strategy doesn't play into it, you know? Yonko has always just been about, do you have the military strength to be an empire that can exist without being eliminated by the other empires? He talked to Hody and that's it. I guess we put him in super minor. I like Hatchi as a character, so that's a shame. You all get in here. I don't know if we're even getting an appearance for this guy. So, characters who we don't even think will get... I'm including characters who I think we could get cameos, basically. You know, I think we could still get shots of these characters. This guy's a villain. I think we could get a cameo of him. I don't know if this doctor's going to make cameo status. Okay, Smoker. Our first... Okay, before we do Smoker, let's just throw Dragon up into the main character role, right? Easy. Main characters. Okay. Smoker. I like to think that Smoker... I want to put Smoker in the big role tier. I like to believe I like to believe. I personally think Smoker should end up in main character tier somehow, but I don't think it's going to happen at this point. I don't know why. It's so frustrating because, like, in the first 500 chapters of the story, first 600 chapters of the story, right? First 600 chapters, who's more significant, Smoker or these guys? Smoker. If you were to ask, like, which, I guess Vivi is competition. In terms of long-term significance, it was Smoker, right? Like, for a lot of the story, first 700 chapters of the story, right? If you look at the first 700 chapters of the story, probably these are the most important characters, and then right after that, you would have fucking Smoker. Smoker would have been, like, genuinely, he is the character that was most... He was their Marine guy. He was the Marine guy. He was the main Marine character. He was the main Marine character. He was always he was like a consistent staple in the story from, you know, the end of the East Blue saga, obviously the Baroque Works saga. He has little cameos throughout Enies Lobby, Marine Ford. First fucking character they're meeting in the New World, you know? First New World storyline is Smoker. He was the most significant and consistent side character in One Piece all the way up to chapter 700, and then he falls off the face of the earth. It is genuinely bizarre, because there's so much more writing around this dude than any of these characters, except maybe Vivi. I get, like, long-term story writing, right? Not character depth or whatever, I'm just saying, like, in terms of, like, the new status quo, where it's like, oh, shit, the final war, Kobe's our main guy in the Marines now. We're focusing on Shanks, focusing on Dragon and stuff. That's all new shit. Before, our main side character was Smoker. It's actually frustrating. You know what? I believe he'll be in there. I think he's going to be more significant than these guys. So I'll put it to a poll. But I think Smoker, it's just kind of crazy. 70% of this story, if you ask, like, who's the most significant side character, Smoker's the easy answer. And then suddenly it's just like, nah, he's not got it like that anymore. It's weird. Smoker. I still think that there's a chance that he could end up in the main character role, but it's just very unlikely. I don't know why Oda did him like that, though. Just don't know. Damian Wright, thanks for being a Pirate King tier member for 27 months. If you have not gotten a chance to enter your Pirate King podcast submissions, do so right now. They're still open for submissions. For those of you who don't know, every month I record an hour and a half. It's now becoming like a 2-hour-long podcast because we get so many submissions. Every month I record a podcast for the Pirate King tier members, and it's basically every single person can submit a question, and every single person can submit a question, and it can be about anything, One Piece, other movies, TV, anime, manga, etc. And I answer every single question in the Pirate King podcast very, very in-depth. More in-depth than I would be able to on streams and such, just because I've got more time. So if you're interested in the podcast, if you're interested in just listening to the past Pirate King podcast, we got like over 20 of them at this point. Maybe we have like 30 now. I'm not sure. We've got a shit ton of those. So if you're interested, then definitely check that out. But yeah, thanks for the support, Damian Wright. Thanks for the long-time support. I bet Fujitora has a bigger role than Smoker. Oh, that would kill me. I don't dislike Fujitora. I like Fujitora. He's a good guy. It's just, I like Smoker more. Taptio Treviso, thanks for the 10, man. Hot take, Moria will be more important than Law. Maybe Blackbeard hype tool. But Law was nothing more than Emu's surgery info. Nothing about Law implies a role against Emu. Surgery reversal is headcanon. Yeah, the surgery reversal is headcanon, especially considering that there is a workaround for it, which is the Yami Yami no Mi. And I believe that Haki can affect Emu enough, you know? Just the highest level, like Joy Boy level. Law is a tricky call. He's a tricky call. We'll talk about Law when we get to him. I think Law would fall into the main... I think Law would fall into the big role category more than the main character role. The difference between Law and Moria is that you're talking about like plot relevance. I'm talking more so like not just plot relevance, right? I'm talking in terms of just how much of the story is going to focus around them and treating them like a main, like how much will the story bend towards focusing on them, right? Because like Moria could come in and make like a huge play or something like that, like reviving Galila or whatever. That could definitely happen. That's very, very likely, honestly. But I think that in terms of who the story is going to focus on more, I think that's more likely to be Law, assuming Law is not done, you know? Law is the next smoker? That would be insane. Because if Law is the next smoker, it'd be like, well then fucking give me back all that fucking wasted time from Punk Hazard and Dress Rosa and shit, building this guy up. At least make him stay important if you're going to do all that, you know? That was the insane thing to me about Law and Wano, which is like, Law basically did not exist as a character in Wano, period, for like the majority of it. Like he had a little bit of a role in Act 1, not there at all in Act 2. It has some like random throwaway lines, side stuff with Basil Hawkins or whatever. And he's really not like, but then Act 3 happens. And all of a sudden, like, it's like, okay, the second main villain of the arc is actually going to Law. It was just so, there's just such a disconnect between like the story that was being told, but then how the climax of the story played out. It made no sense. It's like when Law's being put in the fight against Doflamingo in Dress Rosa, that makes total sense. Or Virgo in Punk Hazard, that makes total sense because it's like the whole story has been focusing on this around this dude. This dude is as important as Luffy, if not more so, right? It was just bizarre that like Kid and Law, who are just not really like Law, even more so. Kid, we at least got some writing around him, but like Big Mom is the second main antagonist of Wano, and there's no writing around Kid and Law whatsoever. They're just like they just exist in the background, and then all of a sudden it's like, well, they're supposed to be the ones to defeat Big Mom. Why? It doesn't matter. They're just supposed to do it, right? It makes sense for their general journey as pirates, less so for Law because he doesn't even have like anything personal at all, no personal connection with Big Mom. Kid at least has ambitions to become a Yonko and stuff like that. But it's just so random. It's so random. Anyway. It was one of those fights where it just felt like Oda's just like, well, I just want them to fight a Yonko, regardless of whether it makes sense for like if I've done any sort of narrative work towards that, you know? Anyway. Francisco Mas 473, thanks for bringing a Pirate King to your member. Holy shit. For 38 months, man. Hi, Morge. Definitely get your Pirate King podcast submission in. Hi, Morge. Do you know what to do with the channel once One Piece is over? Hope you keep it as a manga/your anime analysis channel and maybe even movies or shows. Also, any idea who the man marked by flames could be? I've thought a lot about that. One, I think One Piece is not going to end for several years. But two, I've different... Whether or not I'm staying in YouTube or not, I don't know. But if I do, then I would probably shift to probably covering a lot of different manga rather than just One Piece. And still put out some One Piece content because people will still be talking about it, obviously, long after it's done. But probably shifting to other manga and anime talk rather than just One Piece. But movies is like a very attractive possibility as well. So I don't know, because I dabbled in manga Morge, dabbled in movie Morge, but it was too time consuming. So that's the tricky thing. I've thought about it. I've got a few different routes depending on how certain things play out, if that makes sense. Okay, continuing on. Tashigi. Wait, where are we putting Smoker? Big roll. Oh, a lot of people just want him in notable player. No, you know what? I believe in Smoker. I'm putting him in big roll. I'll put Tashigi in notable player. I think Tashigi will be more significant than someone like Alvida or Helmet Po. All right, Crocus. I think Crocus won't be physically involved. Laboon will probably get the scene of I think Laboon will probably get that scene of them coming back around, right? So let me put Crocus in there. I think Crocus, yeah, I think Laboon will, I think we'll complete the, yeah, yeah. No, you know what? But this is Final War, though, right? So it's not, shit. It depends on when you think that reunion will happen. I think the reunion happens. Fuck. Yeah, when does the reunion happen? Tio Trevisa says, what is there to focus on, Law? Nothing. But that was the same thing in Wano, and then Wano Law fucking ended up being a fucking big role. Like, he was not even there for the majority of it, but then it's like, oh, well, who's defeating Big Mom? It's like, we fucking pulled Law out of her ass. He's gonna do it. Alright. He didn't actually do it in the end, though. It was TNT. But he was part of it. He was involved. He was there. He was in the mix. I don't know if we get the Laboon scene in there. Because if we get the Laboon scene, then Laboon should actually probably be here. You know what? Fuck it. Let's just say involvement in the final war, right? Like, we count that separate. Who cares? All right. No, because I could see Laboon getting involved somehow. I think Crocus won't be involved. I really don't know what the fuck to do with these guys. Laboon reunion in SBS. Ahmed Boost says, I'll never forget you promising to make me a mod after you demoted Don Quixote the Joker. Can you give me more context? Because I do remember that incident, but I don't remember promising to make you mod. Maybe I did. I don't even know what to do. I don't know. I'm stuck on Laboon. I don't even know how to define him. I'm just going to put him here. I don't care. I'm not going to think about it too much. Overthinking the Laboon situation. All right. Igaram, I don't think will be physically involved. No, Igaram, we might... Because I think Alabasta will be involved, right? So I think these guys, though, won't be physically involved. I think Vivi doesn't have Karu. Does Vivi have Karu right now? I forget. Does Vivi have Karu? This is important. This is a big difference maker. Does Vivi have Karu at the moment? Got the Rojimaru. Got the Orochimaru, thanks for the 5. Just got my boss posters. Thank you, Morch. Yeah, thanks for the support, man. I hope you enjoy them. And here's the thing. I think right now, I might be wrong. I think we got a Black Friday deal going. Let me see. I don't know if that closed or not. Yeah, we got a Black Friday sale. Oh, shit. Everybody, all right. Don't freak out, everybody. Don't freak out. Everybody stay calm. But I would direct you to the shop at the moment. Our Black Friday deal ends tomorrow. It ends December 2nd. So we're doing a deal right now with 20% off the posters. That's on top of the deals that we already have. The deals that we already have are you can buy two, get two. You can buy two, get two. Yeah, everything's on sale. You buy two, get two, and you get to buy two, get three, because you also get a free gift. You get to then pick if you want a free poster of Rocks or Emu. And you can only get Rocks or Emu through doing that bundle. So it's buy two, get three, essentially. Buy two, get free plus Rocks or Emu. So buy two, get three plus 20% off. That deal, that whole thing ends tomorrow. So get yours while you can right now. Get yours while you can. I'm going to pin that for everybody. Continuing on, continuing on. Let's see. So we got fucking Dory and Brogy are actually gonna be involved. I don't know. Won't be physically involved. Okay. She's a villain, right? Call her a villain. Yeah, she's a villain. Okay. Let's see. Dory and Brogy, are they notable players at this point? I think in the final war, right? So in Elbaf, I think in Elbaf itself, they're obviously significant, but I think in the final war, they're not going to be notable players. I think they'll be here. That's just my feeling on it. Mr. 3, I think, falls into this category. It's part of, obviously, the Buggy's squad. Wapple! I think Wapple will actually be a notable player because I think Wapple Metal will potentially be... Wapple's tied with Vivi at the moment, and I think the fact that he can create Wapple Metal, which is important for creating weapons and everything, I think that he'll actually be somewhat significant. Dalton as a king, I think, will be involved. I think she'll get some screen time as well. Cobra is dead. Bon Clay. I think Bon Clay could get some screen time. I don't think he'll be a notable player. I think Crocodile will have a big role. Dory and Brogy are dying in Elbaf? No, come on now. I don't know. I think that'd be sad for them. You guys think they die? No, come on now. Ain't no way you're putting them lower than Tashigi. I think Tashigi's significance... I think Dory and Brogy's significance would be higher in Elbaf. Whereas Tashigi, I don't think they'll have any significant writing post-Elbaf. Where to put Don... I think Bon Clay will be in... I don't know where to put Bon Clay. What is it? Yeah. What is it? Oh, good girl. Yeah, it's a good girl. Sorry, she's not feeling good because she's still recovering from surgery. But she's coming over for attention. Okay, Bon Clay, I don't think will... Yeah, I think Bon Clay will be here. I don't know if he'll have a huge role. I think he makes sense here. Gabon, we're more likely to die than Dory and Brogy. Oh, shit, that'd be shitty if Gabon died. Feel sad. Fuck, is it too much of an undertaking? Have I taken on too many characters here? Alright, let's see. Let's take out some easy ones. Okay, wait. Daz Bones. I think Daz Bones will be super minor. If he does anything, super minor. Let's get rid of some of these guys. I think Koza won't be physically involved. Pell, I think Pell will have some super minor role. Now I'm just guessing. These guys don't... Okay. I think Hina will be super minor. Won't be physically involved. Okay, Bellamy. I think Bellamy is set up to be a notable player. I think Oda's done a lot with his storyline, and last we saw of him with that flag situation, I think there's a Bellamy storyline in there. I don't think it's going to be like crazy important, like not a big role, but I think he'll be a notable player. Cricket won't be physically involved. Sarkis is a bad guy. Oh, whoever made this list even included the Southbird. Okay, Suru. We keep waiting for Suru to do something. I kind of want to put her in super minor. I'll put Suru here. Just out of high hopes for maybe something, you know? Maybe something. Sengoku, I think here. Nah, but then by that logic, I think Suru goes here. Yeah, I think that makes sense. Doflamingo. He's a villain, so we don't include him. Kuma. I'm not gonna include Kuma in case his consciousness doesn't come back. I think it's too speculative. Justin, thanks a lot. Small note: make a war tier for bad guys too. Nah, I'm gonna leave it just because I feel like with bad guys, it's too hard to scale like how important each Gorosei is gonna be and things like that. I think with the good guys, we've got some more backing to go off of at this point. So I'm going to ignore bad guys, and I don't know how to rank like every single Blackbeard pirate. Rockstar here. No, you know what? I think Suru might be in here. These are a bunch of bad guys, so we leave them. Oh, actually, I don't know if the Sky people will even see them. But you know what? Fuck it. I'll just put them in here. Just because why not? Okay. Alright, you know what? I don't feel like ranking all the Sky people. Tonjit. Oops. Okay, Paulie. I don't think Paulie will be physically involved. Aokiji. Alright, here we go. And keep in mind, I don't count Aokiji as a bad guy. I count him as a good guy. Aokiji, I think is he set to be main character or big role? Because he was one of the 12 characters. Right? So I'll let this is a vote for the people. Sengoku and Suru should be notable, but I don't know if they will be. Aokiji. Main character, big role. I know he's in the chart, but I wonder if that's just because he's one of the main, like, mystery pieces Oda's got. Yeah, this is like a tight one. I'll let the votes play out for this. I know he's in the spread. But I don't necessarily view it as like, if you're in the spread, you're definitely gonna be like that level of importance. Because, like, for example, Vivi's not in the spread, but Vivi's storyline, most of us can guess, seems to be really important, right? This is tight. I'll let it get to 100 votes, and then I'll just go with whatever wins. So get your votes in. Get your votes in. Yeah, I'll let it get to 100 and I'll just end it then. We're at 95, 99, 100. Okay. Oh, I pinned the wrong comment up here. What the hell? My bad. Where's my comment? Here we go. There we go. Okay. Looks like Aokiji we're putting in. Okay, Aokiji we can reassess later. He's probably at the the biggest of big roles, or like I don't know if he's gonna be literally a main character in the story. That's the tricky thing. It's either the biggest of the big roles or maybe the least main character of the main characters. He's obviously going to be very important, though. But then that could also be big role, you know? Very important, big role. Okay. Continuing on. Yeah, I might have fucked up with trying to rank all these characters. Won't be physically involved. I mean, the thing is, I think that we're going to get some stuff for Water 7. I think we're going to get some stuff for Water 7. So, you know what? I'm just going to fucking put Iceberg there and not think too hard about the rest. It's not the cleanest way to do it, but it's just like I don't really know what because some of these characters actually might be physically involved is the thing. Like, I could see a lot of these characters coming to help in the final fight. It's difficult. Picked a difficult topic here. Let's mainly focus on the higher end tiers, okay? Let's mainly focus on the higher end tiers. So these guys are all bad guys. They're out. Oimo and Kashi are technically going to be in there. Crocus is dead. Oh my god, Saul. I don't think Saul is going to be super important for the end, though. I feel like Saul's not going to be super important in the final storyline. Maybe he'll be kind of important. I'll put him here. I'll put Saul there. Momonga. Garp. Another tricky one. Garp and Marco are going to be difficult ones to make a call on. I think Garp... There's two ways you could look at Garp. You could look at it like, okay, the Hachinosu raid was his last hurrah, and therefore he's probably not going to be... I think no matter what, he's going to be notable, right? Like, he's not just because of his family connections, right? Even if he's not the most impactful, there's scenes that can happen. Like, how do I say this? The vast majority of the important players in One Piece are tied to Garp right now, right? Because you've got... if you look in that spread, right? The spread of the 12 characters, you've got Luffy and Dragon, which are Garp's grandson and Garp's son. Garp's son and grandson, right? And then also you've got Kobe, so Garp's protege. Aokiji, Garp's other protege, right? Even Sabo technically gets connected. Like, Garp just is very influential. There's a lot of characters tied to him, you know? Even just other dynamics like Garp, Akainu, if that's a thing. I don't know. So Garp's just very important and influential and still alive. So I don't think he's going to be main character, right? Like, his time has passed. Is he going to play a big role, or is he going to just have, like, notable screen time? No matter what, there's important scenes that are going to happen for Garp, most likely, even if they're just character scenes, like him and Luffy, him and Dragon, something like that. Him and Kobe, whatever. Him and Blackbeard, even, like, their interactions with Garp having fought Blackbeard's father, you know? He's going to be notable. Is he big role or notable? Sabo's Garp's grandson? I don't know if Sabo considers himself Garp's grandson. I don't know if Garp considers him his grandson. Okay, here, let's see. The way I personally view it is, I think he's going to be important character-wise no matter what. I don't know if he's going to be impactful character-wise, which, like, if he's still, Oda's still going to use him for some action and stuff like that. So he's a very tough call. I think he's either at the top of... I think he is either... The thing is, Garp has a very high ceiling, and I think his floor feels pretty high as well. People are leaning towards big role. I might be the swing vote. Yeah, I think I like big role for him. I think I like big role for him. Yeah, I like big role. Meek 661 Meek I don't know. I'm just trying to say your full name. Thanks for the 5. A lot of my friends think that Joy Boy is going to be Luffy, but with red hair. Could Shanks be a descendant of Joy Boy? Oh, that would be insane. That would be insane. Imagine if that means that Kid is also somehow a descendant. That'd be crazy. I wonder which lineage the monkey family is from then. That's a cool theory. I guess we'll see. All right, continuing on. Marco. I think Marco is either big role or notable player. Marco's kind of that dude that Oda likes to like bring back into the mix just for like as this easy character to slip in, and he's, I don't know how to explain, like he's just a character that Oda can keep going back to and not ever really deeply focus on him, but like just keep kind of using, if that makes sense. He's just, I don't even know how to explain. He's like just this old reliable. Because in the post-time skip, right, it's like, okay, well, we found out about the Payback War. And it's like, oh, so Marco actually did some significant shit during the time skip. And then we get the Sphinx Island stuff, and it's like, okay, Marco's still doing some stuff. And then Marco's at Wano, and he actually does a lot at Wano. Marco's actually like a big, he's actually kind of a huge player in Wano. I want to go back and look at what we did for the Wano arc MVPs, but Marco Loki, he stopped the entire Big Mom Pirates from joining the battle. So that's huge. He basically took an entire Yonko crew out of commission. And then beyond that, he's stopping the Isoni stuff. He stalls Big Mom for some time. He stalls King and Queen for a long time. He basically just like, he's like the jack of all trades. He's basically like this Swiss Army knife. That's the term I'm looking for. Like Oda can just have him do a lot. And the thing is that he doesn't really even have that much character writing or any focus on there. He even gives us some lore drops about Lunarians. Like, Marco is a very useful tool character for Oda. I don't know if he'll fall into the big role category. I think he'd be at the top of notable players potentially, though. Marco's irrelevant. He's all designed. But Oda likes going back to him and using him, you know? I just don't think that his own character is going to get that much. Even just the fact that in the Rocks flashback, we got lore with Marco's dad and shit, you know? Marco. People are leaning towards notable player? Okay. I think that's fair. I think just based on how Oda's consistently used him, I think there's no chance that he's just I think he'll have more of a role than these characters. Jozu, I don't even know what the fuck with Jozu. If Jozu's there, he's in some super minor capacity. All right, continuing on. Hogback, these guys, I forget what happened with Hogback. Absalom's dead. Okay, Perona. I think Perona will be a notable player. I think she'll be in it. I think we're going to get some stuff. I think Perona will be in it. Because like her whole storyline of like finding Moria, connection to Mihawk, I think there'll be something for Perona. Lola... Maybe Lola's in there. Maybe super minor or something. Or... Because I think she'll be part of Capone Beige's crew who will be involved in some capacity. Okay, Bonnie. I think Bonnie will have a big role. Bonnie will have a big role no matter what. So that's her floor, right? Because she controls the Pacifista. So Bonnie right there, big role. She could even be Straw Hat. We don't know. But big role at minimum, main character at peak. What do we think about Bonnie? Here we go. Marco's a very useful tool for Oda because he's a great stall tactic, right? Oda can move him around easily. He can fly. He's just very, very useful. And he can stall basically anyone in the story. Because, or not anyone. But he can stall a lot of characters in the story, like fucking Big Mom, you know? Okay. If she becomes a Strahd, she's obviously in Strahd tier. But I think this is a hard call. It felt like she was extremely important in Egghead, and then we've obviously like pumped the brakes a little bit on her significance in Elbaf, but that's just like an arc to arc thing, you know. So I think she's gonna be pretty important in the long run. I think yeah, big role makes sense for her. I think big role makes sense. Also, while you guys are clicking buttons, how about we also get the streamlights up to 100? How about we get the streamlights up to 100 real quick? Okay, I'm good with Bonnie for big role. I think she's like a pretty big role. Okay, we just got Celestial Dragons. These characters... Okay, hold on. You know what's tricky? Okay, so here's the difficulty I'm realizing, which is that with characters that are from East Blue and stuff, it was easy to write off, like, they're not going to be physically involved, right? But now once we're hitting later islands like Alabasta, Water 7, and especially now that we're hitting the New World, it's very difficult because we don't know. Oda can easily just be like, okay, everyone from Fishman Island is fighting in the war or whatever, and therefore Kami's involved, right? Everyone from Dress Rosa is fighting in the final war, therefore, you know, like random Dress Rosa citizens, like Guts is involved and stuff like that, you know? That's the difficult thing for me to separate out here. I'm going to put her in Super Minor. I don't know. That's where it's getting very difficult. Shaki. I think Shaki could go in some screen time. Right? These are characters who I think will be there, but have basically no dialogue, pretty much. Or like, you know? All right, continuing on. Jean Bart. Is he dead? We'll put him here. All right, Capone Beige. Capone Beige. I think Capone Beige will go into the some screen time category. I think he can be there. I don't think he'll be a notable player, but I think we'll see a little bit of Capone Beige. All right. Biz Hawkins now. Kid. Our favorite supernova. Pooh, let me just put there. Kid. With Kid, I think there's only two ways that this goes down. I think that there's no middle ground for the character. I think either he's alive, in which case he's actually here, or he's done, in which case he doesn't make the list. Or if he's not dead, then he's like somewhere like here or some shit. I think if Kid's alive, he's extremely important. Maybe big roles instead. Kid is very difficult. Is that what we're calling them now? Holy Ropo? Ken just says, big roll, he will go extreme diff with a Holy Ropo. SBS backstory. Mr. One and company should be... Yeah, I think I put Mr. One in some screen time. Oh. No. Super minor. Some screen time plus dialogue and or action. Let's say that. Nope. I'll say some screen time plus dialogue. Yeah, how about that? Yeah, how about that? Okay, yeah, I think let's clarify, right? I think from here on it makes sense. So I think Dazbones will be there, like but this is yeah, super minor. Yeah, but like he may be there, but almost no dialogue, right? And if he's getting action, I don't think it's like, I think it'll just be action in the background. Dialogue. Yeah, I'll just say this. Almost no, yeah. Okay. Yeah, I think that clarifies a bit more. One second. The hell? Okay, Cinnamon27, thanks for the 5. My stocks that Luffy and Joy Boy have always been the same person, have never been hired. Oh, from Dick So Small? Oh, have you changed your name? I was wondering like how you got a mod status and everything. Okay. That'd be kind of crazy if they've always been the same person. I don't think I'd like that, but you know, we see. Ramen Stains, thanks for being a Yonko tier member for 38 months, man. Based on the aura of his introduction, Jean Bart will play a major role. Most important subordinate bar none. Also back from my 5-month break from One Piece. I hope you enjoyed the break, but I don't know if I'm with you on the Jean Bart situation. I don't know if that's gonna fly. Here, let me do a poll for Kid. I think if Kid's not dead, then he's probably supposed to be pretty important, you know? Okay. Kid. I'd say he's either main character, big role, super minor / dead. I'll say irrelevant / dead. In the meantime, let me go ahead and rank Rayleigh. I think Rayleigh's here. I don't think Rayleigh's going to do a ton. I think Rayleigh's here. Okay, you know what? I'll even it out with Kid to big role. I'll even it out to big role. He is one of the most difficult ones to make a call on right now. So we'll even out Kid to big role. I personally think that if Kid is alive, then he's meant to be actually in this category. And I think Oda just did a terrible, terrible job of kind of... He introduced Kid in an arc that he didn't need to introduce Kid into, like the Wano storyline. Killer would then be something like this, maybe. Okay. Moria. Oh, fuck. I fucking missed Moria. I think Moria will be a notable player. I think that he can have an important role in terms of like resurrecting Galila and everything, but we're talking more so in terms of like how much focus does this character actually get. I don't think he's going to get a ton of focus, but I think he'll be here. Like, he'll be a solid plot device, if that makes sense, which is different. Uruj. Uruj is really difficult to make a call on, because, like, you never know how important a character is going to be when Oda's been saving them. I'm going to put Uruj here. I think Oda might be saving him for something important. I'm going to go ahead and put him there. I think Law is going to have a big role. Beppo, let's put him here. Actually, I don't think Beppo's going to be that important. I think Beppo already did the most important thing he's going to do. Kizaru will call a villain. Sentomaru, I don't think will get really anything. Maybe he gets a scene with Kizaru. Sentomaru I'll put here. Maybe Sentomaru gets something. Marguerite, just because Amazon Lily might go to war. Gloriosa, who we now know is actually an important character. Maybe we put her here. I wonder if Rayleigh is going to be important just by virtue of being a former Roger pirate. Here, let me ask about Rayleigh. Rayleigh. I guess I'll say we should define this, right? Minor player. Minor character. No, because I feel like notable players are also minor characters. Yeah, I think really we could push up a tier. We could push really up a tier. Yeah, let's do that. Yeah, let's put... I agree with that. I agree with that. Okay. Boa Hancock. I think Boa Hancock will have... I think she's either here or here. I like to think she'll have a big role, but I don't know. Here, let me give it to you guys. What do you guys think? She's definitely not main character. Boa Hancock. She big role or notable player? We can move Perona down. Hey, these are some tight votes. These are some tight votes. I think I make a good call on which characters... I think I've been making a good call so far on which characters deserve a poll or which don't. Apple Killer 2308, thanks to 2. Weesta, big role to stall Mihawk until Zoro, lol. Zoro's final duel is against Vista. Because he defeats Mihawk off screen. Alright. This is actually very close. Yeah, let's get the votes up to 100 because it's actually very tight. This is a hard one to piece out. Well, yeah, get your votes in. Get your votes in. Where do you think Hancock falls? All right, get a few more votes in, but it's looking like we're putting Hancock in notable player. I feel like she's probably going to be a very notable player among the notable players, but I don't know. Okay. Continuing on. Sandersonia and whatever. Okay. Harutas. Sure. The Toots from Choppers thing. I think I'll just put him here. Hannibal, blah, 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 blah. Okay. We're at the Revolutionaries. Ivankov. Ivankov, definitely notable player. Definitely notable player. Inazuma. Put Inazuma here. Because I think the Revolutionaries just have a lot of characters now. I guess Inazuma maybe here. Yeah, this is more for characters that are basically not going to be any role whatsoever. Shiryu Akainu, we're leaving these guys out. Scored, I don't know if we're getting scored in here. Alright, Vista, I don't know if we're getting Vista. Where'd I put Jozu? Did I say Jozu's not getting involved? I'll put Vista here. Izos, rest in peace. Ors Jr., I don't know what the fuck. If is he dead? I think he might be dead. We don't know. If he's alive, nobody knows how he would have survived. Okay. Sabo. Dadan here. Sabo. Let's see. Oh, Brownbeard, I think, is also not involved. Okay, Sabo for the 10th time. Sabo, unfortunately, we do have to put him here. I didn't used to dislike Sabo. I don't think I even dislike Sabo. I think it's just because there's so many power scaling debates about. I think the community made me dislike Sabo. You know what happened with Sabo? When Sabo was first revealed as a character, and we got the whole Ace Luffy Sabo backstory and stuff, I disliked him because I felt like Oda was trying to basically smooth over the death of Ace by giving us another brother, like a backup Ace. And then I didn't like Sabo when Sabo was introduced in Dress Rosa because I was just like, and he got Ace's fruit, and he's even got the hat. He's working with Dragon. It's just like, I just felt like Oda's just trying to neuter Ace's death a bit. And I'm like, that's one thing you don't need to neuter in this story. Then as time went on, I grew to like Sabo more as his own thing. But then once I got more, then at some point I began to realize that the One Piece community like loves Sabo and overrates the fuck out of him. And then I got really confused. Because in the past, it made sense that people gassed up Sabo. Because it was like, back during Dressrosa, Zoe, Whole Cake, etc. Yeah, Sabo was above characters like, Zoro, Law, those type of characters, right? But then post Wano, that's when I was baffled because I'm like, okay, so now we had this huge arc, this huge war where all of these other characters leveled up. And then people are like, yeah, no, but we still got Sabo. It's like, but everybody's done way more than Sabo did in Dressrosa now. Like, Sabo's feats in Dressrosa look like nothing. It seems clear that everybody else has surpassed him. And it's like, no, but we just like Sabo. So I think people just rate the fuck out of Sabo because they like Sabo. And I think that annoys me. So it's not like I dislike the character. I think that I dislike how much the community loves the character just because they need another ace. All right, King Neptune. I think he'll be here. Oh, Shirahoshi. I think Shirahoshi's here. I think big role. I don't think necessarily main character, but I think big role. Charlie might get something. I'd say Charlie might get something. Okay. Leave these guys alone. Koala. I think Koala's in here. Watatsumi will be there. Aladdin. I think a lot in... We can put him there. I don't think Peckham's is going to matter, really. She might actually be in there for some reason, because I think the experiments are going to matter to some degree. No, I'm going to say... I don't know if Oda's going to make time for Mocha. Okay. Gangster Gastino, who is now... He's a villain, but I think we're supposed to view him in the anti-hero category. So because we're supposed to view him in an anti-hero category, I think him and Judge and them are supposed to be an anti-hero category. I think they might be notable players, because I think Neomads is supposed to be somewhat important. Okay, Momonosuke. Is he main character or big role? I miss supers? I'm sorry, hold on. I don't know what's going on this stream. Eric, thanks for the... Oh, wait, we got a couple. Elias Taveras, thanks for the 5. Would Joy Boy be stronger if he were Joy Man? I'm guessing Roger never surpassed Rocks based on your Roger solo Rocks at God Valley theory. Yeah, I don't know if Roger ever surpassed Rocks. I don't know. I think it's left too vague. Oda even says that all of the characters at God Valley reach their primes later, right? So I was of the opinion that they're at their prime. Roger and Garp are at their prime at God Valley. But it sounds like Oda basically confirmed that they all reach their primes later, right? So the arguments open up again that Roger, Whitebeard, whoever, Garp surpassed Rocks. Unless it meant prime in terms of like their status as a pirate overall, you know? Like their territory, influence, all of that, like, because they all broke up and did that shit. Or it might be referring to the pirates who went their separate ways as the Rocks pirates, and not necessarily including the Roger pirates. So it's hard to say. Maybe I need a Japanese translator to specify. Would Joy Boy be stronger if he were Joy Man? No. He needs that childlike sense of joy that comes to being a Joy Boy in order to use his ability to its best strength, you know? Eric, thanks to 2. Shanks will outrank 70% of the Strides Law. Yeah, actually, I do think that some of these main characters, quote-unquote, could be more important than a lot of the Strides. I think that's actually very true. Like, but I do feel encouraged just seeing, you know, random stuff like Oda's planned this whole thing with Brook and Gunko from way back. You know, I'm encouraged to see how much Oda seems to have planned for the Strides. So I do agree with that take. It's just easier to put all the Strides in one group rather than, like, try and piece out how important each Stride's going to be. All right. Momonosuke. Roger, Whitebeard, and Garp are stronger than Rocks. I just don't know about that. I think it's left ambiguous for us. Okay, big role for Momonosuke. Yeah, I think that makes sense. Because it feels like Momonosuke already... You know what I'm noticing is the common pattern among these characters? Aside from Vivi, all of them have... these are all very long-running characters, but they haven't really had their own storyline yet, you know? So Oda's been saving them for the final war. So it seems like they'll likely be the main characters. Buggy technically did, but that was as a villain in Orange Town. Whereas a lot of these characters, like, they had their most important storyline already. So Momonosuke, he already had the Wano storyline. That's where he's the main character. Shirahoshi, obviously. Law, Dress Rosa, etc. Bonnie, arguably Egghead. I think that some of the ones that we're still waiting on are like Aokiji, which is why we debated him being a main character. Obviously, he's part of the 12. Mihawk, Smoker. Smoker, you could argue already he's not supposed to have his own storyline or whatever. But like, I think a lot of the characters that have already been the protagonists of certain island storylines, mainly these three right here and Bonnie, it's unlikely, I guess, that they would be the main characters of the final war because they've already had the majority of their character work has already been done. They can still play a big role, but the majority of their character work has already been done. Whereas these characters are characters that Oda seems to have been saving for the end to give them their storylines. Sun God Hand, thanks to the 5. Sabo versus Doflamingo, who wins? That's like I don't underrate Sabo that much. Come on now. Before and after Ace Devil Fruit. I think Sabo could still lose with the Devil Fruit. I think some people underrate how strong Gear 4th actually is. I'm not going to go into that territory, but I just think that Sabo would beat Doflamingo with and without the Devil Fruit. I think he's just better at hockey overall. I do agree that people can underrate Gear 4th. I think if you wanted to argue like Gear 4th Dress Rosa Luffy versus Sabo without the fruit, I actually think that's an interesting discussion. Because Gear 4th Luffy was very strong. If you look at like Gear 4th Luffy, he was actually like, he was a solid challenge even to Katakuri before Katakuri kind of like got his shit together or whatever. But like, I think Gear 4th Luffy at Dressrosa was very strong. I think you could debate Gear 4th Luffy versus Sabo without the fruit. I think I would just give it to Sabo out of respect. And then definitely post-fruit, I think Sabo's past all that, Yeah, Vivi, I agree, is the exception. Vivi's the exception. But Vivi also, it's just like, I think Oda primed her storyline from the beginning to be about her being a huge player in the final war. I mean, like, Vivi, you just look at, obviously, like, the whole Lily Emu situation and everything. So Vivi, I'm kind of making an exception. But these three characters, it's hard to see them being the main characters again. Vivi also is an exception just because she's also technically a Straw Hat. So it's like, she's technically in this tier. So there's a few added factors that suggest to me that Vivi makes more sense being here, whereas these characters may have already gotten their main juice already, but they're still set to play very big roles for the final war. Continuing on. Here we go. I forget how many fucking characters we have in the post-time skip. Okay. Baby 5. Super minor, right? She'll be in there. Fujitora. I think that's a big role. I think Fujitora may be big role. Would you guys agree? I think Fujitora big role. Just Admiral, I think Fujitora's in there. Guts, maybe we get in here. Kyros. I think Kyros is here. Because I think Dressrosa is going to fight. I think Rebecca could end up here. I think Viola's probably here. Riku, I think Dressrosa could have similar, like, same as like some Wano characters, some level of significance. Shinja, I think whatever, put him in. Okay, Sai. I think a lot of Grand Fleet guys are going to go around here. Oh, whoops, why am I even ranking that guy? I don't even know why I put him. Bad guy. Super minor. I think Elizabello is going to go towards the bottom, just as one of the lesser important Grand Fleet members. Same as Suleiman. Arjeet and Abdullah, they're in there, right? Yeah, they're in the Grand Fleet. I think Orlumbus here. Okay, Bartolomeo. I think Bartolomeo could be a notable player. He already kind of is, right? He's the subject of like an international incident. I think Bartolomeo can make the cut. I think he can crack that group. I think Cavendish and Bartolomeo could be in here. No, maybe not Cavendish. it feels wrong putting Bartolomeo here and not Nah, I'll put Cavendish. I'll put Cavendish. Cavendish and Bartolomeo. Because Cavendish is kind of like the head of the Strahd Grand Fleet. Like, there's no official leader, but he's the captain of the First Division. He's the strongest. He was kind of the one calling the shots in the Dress Rosa raid. And then the rest we're going to just treat as kind of minor, you know? Ideo, get in here. Ah, fuck, fucking Hadruden turned out to be pretty important, huh? But I don't think he's gonna be that important in the grand scheme of things. Outside of, fuck, because he's gonna be the king of Elbaf, isn't he? I think Hadruden's gonna be the king of Elbaf. No, I gotta put him up there. I gotta put him up there. That's not right. Okay. All right. Oh, is Cavendish the second ship? That's Scarlet, not Rebecca. Oh, fuck. Oh, fuck. You're right. She did look a little bit different, actually. So I know everybody says that Oda draws all women the same, but I could tell that there was something a little bit off about her. I was like, that doesn't seem like Rebecca, but it didn't click with me for a second that that's Scarlet. Yeah, I'll put Hadruden up here for notable players. Okay. Yeah, I think Cavendish will be in there. All right. Blue Gilly, you go here. Hack, what a fucking hack, am I right? It's funny. Just kidding. All right. Let's fucking put these guys. Okay, so this girl has healing powers, which are actually pretty significant. So I think I'm gonna go ahead and I'll put her in there. That could be important. Senior Pink, I don't know if he's making a comeback. None of y'all. Weevil and Bakin. Interesting. Weevil and Bakin. What to do with these two characters? I think that Weevil is actually set to be somewhat important, as is Bakin, because Oda's just doing some stuff with these characters. I think Carrot will be a notable player in the same way as Hadruden. Leo might actually supposed to be up here. Leo, I might actually have to move. If I'm putting Carrot here, then do I put fucking King Neptune up here? This tier is a difficult tier for me. I'm going to go ahead and put Carrot back here. I don't think she's going to be that notable. I'm going to put Carrot back there. Queen of Zoe plus King of Elbaf, yes. I just don't know if every nation's going to be as important. You know? Because, like, Leo's the king of the Tentadas, or like, leader of the Tentadas, essentially. I don't know if he's going to be that important. I don't think Dress Rosa is going to be as important. Like, I don't think Riku's going to play as big of a role as Hadruden leading the Giants of Elbaf. Elbaf has been made to be very notably, obviously important, right? It's not in terms of status in the world. It's like, how likely is it that Oda's going to give this character? So I'm already saying that they're going to get some screen time, dialogue, and action and stuff. I'm like, how likely is it that we're going to be, like, getting some story relevance, you know? I guess it's relevant, but, like, is it just going to be Neptune, like, ordering some people to, like, how much story focus? I guess that's it. Like, think about it more so in screen time than anything else. Screen time. That's what I'm saying. I don't know if we're going to get a ton of screen time for Neptune. I think we get screen time for the Fishman, but I don't know about specifically for Neptune. Screen time and actual writing focus. You know? But actually, I'm being dumb. I think it falls into notable player. I think I'm being too tight. It just feels weird because I feel like Hancock and Ivankov are probably going to get more than someone like Carrot I think this feels right, though. This feels right. Elias Taveras, thanks for the 5. Great video on Emu being defeated by Blackbeard, Dragon, and Shanks. Enjoyed the ad in this week's video. Saw it many times and made sure to interact for numbers. All right, that's good to hear. Happy you enjoyed it. Happy you enjoyed it. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, we had a non-traditional ad, I'd say, in this Saturday's video, if that's what you're referring to. Let's get the stream likes up to 150 real quick. Elbaf going from Herald as King to Hadruden is funny? Yeah. Yeah. Especially because, like, Hadruden's trying to be good at the one thing that Herald was trying to not even focus on anymore, which is, like, fighting. It's so funny that Herald... Like, the gap between Herald and Hadruden is just so huge. Zunisha, obviously a notable player. Technically a big role, but I don't think we're going to focus on Zunisha's character that much. Unless Zunisha is maybe transformed back from being an elephant, but let's just leave it for now. Yeah, these are notable players. I shouldn't have put Neptune in them in this category. Okay, continuing on. Wanda... Wanda goes here. And these guys. Okay, Nekamamushi Inuarashi. I think probably here. I think a lot of scabbards will kind of go here. Okay, this dude. So that. She can go here. Baby. There we go. Pedro's dead. I think Raizo will get almost nothing. Yeah, fuck it. Let's just put these characters here. Pudding! Pudding is already important, right? So Pudding is a notable player. It's a Pudding notable player. I think Germa Boys... I'll put the... Yeah. I feel like the lower level Germa are just not going to really matter. I think Judge will matter because Judge is Neomads, right? So Judge we're putting in here alongside Caesar. I think Germa Boys won't be as important, actually. I messed up. I think maybe Yon... I wish there weren't so many. Okay. Does that feel right? German characters go there. Yeah, let's just do that. Because I can count on these two characters. At least him, Oda tends to give some decent amount of dialogue. She should get that. Judge, obviously, in there. Continuing on. Alright. Katakuri. I count Katakuri as a protagonist. I think... What do we think for Katakuri? Do we think Katakuri could make it to the notable players or the big roles? Because he has essentially a Yonko empire under his command. I think Katakuri is a character that Oda could go a million ways with. Like, he could make him high-end significant. He could use him like Marco, or he could just... Big Mom Pirates are not supposed to be important anymore. It's a wide range. Very wide range. I think Vince Smoke's siblings get basically equal screen time. Yeah, but there's still a bit of a gap in terms of like how much story focus and dialogue and stuff like that. You even saw that in the cover story. Yeah, we could average him out to notable player. I think he could still be in there, doing some important stuff, but nothing crazy. All right, now we get to skip a bunch of Big Mom Pirates. Ooh, Stussy. I think Stussy will get some screen time / dialogue. Don't know what the full deal is. Tama. I don't know if Oda's going to use... I think Tama's abilities were very specific to that one situation. I think. So I'll just put Tama in here. I think it'll still give her some stuff to talk about or some shit. Where'd I put Raizo? I think I just threw Raizo in here. I guess I'm putting Denjiro roughly the same as these other guys. Shinobu, I think, will be important. Like, kind of, like, in terms of, like, she'll have a... I think that the maturation thing could be used again. I think Kawamatsu is treated a bit less important than the other scabbards. Skipping these guys. Do we have to treat them as good guy characters now? Ulti and page 1. I'll just put them in here. I think that... So, I low-key think that this could be significant. That, like, the little group that Yamato's making could matter. I think... Because I think Yamato will have some significance. But I don't want to jump too far ahead. Yamato, I think, is going to be at least a notable player, if not a big role. So let me give you guys the poll for that. If Sanji only had brothers, it would be so much better. You're saying like one brother? Yeah, Casey, what is it? What is it? Good girl. Yeah, it's a good girl. Oh, it's a good girl. Yeah. Good girl. Okay. Let's get the stream likes up to... What is it? Up to 150 real quick. 150. Yeah, I genuinely think with her it could go either way. I view her as very similar to Katakuri in terms of like... I think there will at least be notable players. I think that they could be... They have so much potential based on their current position to be even more than that. Right? So I'll put Yamato in here for now. But it could be more. It could be more for sure. And continuing on. We're almost caught up. Uta. She's not a real character. I'm not going to count her. All right. Lilith. I think big role. That's what I'm feeling so far. These other characters that became a amalgamation, I'm not going to count. I don't really know what to do with them. Seraphim. Bad guys. All right. These dudes. I think the future of the Marines or whatever, I think they all fall into... Let's put them in here. Because maybe they'll be a big deal, but it's just too hard for me to guess right now. Revolutionaries. I don't really know. They're like some mix of this and that. Revolutionaries. See them easily being all notable players. Easily. I'm going to put them here just to be conservative with it. I'm not going to bump any of them in particular into another tier. The only reason I'm putting them here is because Oda sometimes has a tendency to introduce large groups where it's like, oh, everyone's going to be a big deal. Because they all get cool designs and focus and stuff, and then it's kind of like, okay, never mind, a lot of them didn't matter. So I'm kind of doing that with them. We already have a lot of revolutionaries in the top ranks with like Sabo, Ivankov, Kuma, if he's still around, will obviously be like something, a higher level role. So I'm comfortable kind of doing that with the revolutionaries for the moment. Doll, put her here. I don't know. Or is Doll a bad guy? Let's say Doll's a bad guy for the moment. She might be someone that changes. Let's put her in the good guys. Why not? Oh, fuck. Yeah, like okay, so like the Revolutionary Army commanders all have like secondary level commanders. Like the cow dude, this is what I'm talking about more so. Like the Revolutionary Army commanders, like second in commands. Or not second, like the lower level tier characters. I don't trust that they'll be significant. They might be, though. I guess, should I just put all the revolutionaries here? It feels like there should be a tier in between the tiers I've got, but I don't know what that should be. You think they'll all have matchups? If they all have matchups, then I should put them in notable players. Revolutionary commanders. Betty, Karasu, Morley, Lindbergh. Where are they going? Notable players, some screen time. I could put them in notable players. And then I could put the secondary commanders in the some screen time tier. That feels kind of right. I'll put them here. I'll go ahead and put them here. I can do that. And then, yeah, let me put their subordinates here. Is she a subordinate? I don't really know. Okay, so that's all good. And then Shanks' lower level dudes. I don't really know what to do with them. Shanks' lower level dudes I can put here. Okay. I think that covers it. Yeah, I think that covers it. I feel good about this list mostly. Are there any glaring exceptions? Any glaring characters that we feel are inaccurately ranked here? I think Loki is the big question mark. The fact that Loki has a relationship with Shirahoshi suggests to me that Loki's not going to die. And therefore, I think Loki would either be in the big role tier or main character tier. I'm not going to guess on Loki at the moment. I'm just not going to guess on him. Yeah, I went ahead and put the Revolutionary Commanders in the notable players tier. Not everyone in the notable players tier has equivalent significance. But what do you all think? Move Shirahoshi to main? I don't think Shirahoshi is going to be treated as a main character. I think especially characters that have plot device abilities, characters who have plot device abilities and whose own character storylines have already gotten like a lot of focus and everything like that, I am not going to just assume are going to be main character here. All right. Who else? Is Rebecca on there? Yeah, Rebecca's on here. I just went ahead and put Rebecca in, I think, is she in here somewhere? Yeah, I just don't know if she's going to be big important. I think I got her somewhere in here. Maybe. Oh, no, I got her here. So I think she'll get some dialogue or some shit. So Rebecca, some stuff. Yeah. Yeah, I like this. I think this is a good list. Is there any major exceptions that you guys have? Korea will be a notable medic. I don't know if she's even going to be physically present. Aokiji clearly set up to be an X Factor, needs a bump to MC, but that's exactly the type of thing that I don't think makes you MC on its own. You can have a big role, right? You can be an X Factor like Shirahoshi, Momonosuke, etc. will have, and you can have a big role, but this is like, are you literally going to be written as a main character, like a key like focus of the storyline? If I were to give a comparable example, right? Like in okay, that's okay. Okay. Like let's say we were looking at what's a good storyline example? Wano is very messy, but I guess Wano is a good comparison because it has a lot of things all over the place, right? So if we looked at Wano and we separated out, okay, forget the Straw Hats or whatever, right? Characters who I would call like main characters are like Momonosuke, Yamato, like real main focuses of the story. And then there's a lot of characters that I think have big roles or big impacts, but don't necessarily fall into the main character tier, right? I think that's kind of how I'm separating this out. So yeah, Kuzan could be a big X Factor play, but I think that the story will not necessarily. He could be here. He might be here. He might be here. I don't know. I think he's the probably the borderline between this and that. Like the key heroes of the final storyline, I don't know if Kuzan falls into that, but I might be underestimating his significance. The Seraphim could be more than villains. They could, but we don't have anything to suggest yet that they will be. So, um, there's not much to go off yet. Just the fact that Shirahoshi is one of the four that Imu has his eyes on should make her in main. See, I'm not going by that stuff, right? Because like those are factors, right? Those are factors that matter, but that's not just because that's a factor that clearly matters in terms of like their overall significance in the world. I don't think means that the story itself is going to revolve around her. And we're going to get as much focus on her character, her storyline, her growth and development as we would on like these characters. I think Buggy might even be dropped a spot. I think he could be a big role character and not a main character. I think that's very possible. But just the cross guild angle, I don't know. It's very difficult. These are all, like, I think these characters, I think Kid could go up if Kid's still in the story. Because I think Oda's got some significant stuff saved for Kid. I think Lilith I'm going to drop. I'm going to drop Lilith. I like this better. I think she'll be a notable player, but I don't think that she's going to be... I think she'll be a notable player and she'll be important for discovering something or whatever the fuck, but... I think in terms of amount of story focus, right? Amount of story focus, I think these characters are going to get the lion's share of story focus. Buggy is even iffy here. Buggy is iffy. And then I think these characters will get a good amount of story focus. Sorry, these characters will get a good amount of story focus and have big roles like this, like we say, right? This is like main character level focus. I kind of want to drop Buggy from here. I don't think enough... I think I might be recency biased by like chapter 1082. Like, oh, Oda does have like deep stuff to write for Buggy's character. I think he'll have a big role, but I don't know if he's going to be like a main character of the final saga. He could, though. He could. There's enough juice there. What do I think of Boa? I think so. So here's the thing. There's a lot of I'll keep. Okay. What do people feel about Buggy? Big role or main character? Like, does Oda have a meaningful story that he's going to carve out in the final war to focus around Buggy? Like, does he have a meaningful story that is going to revolve around that character? Or is it to move the plot, the cross-guild plot along? Oh, whoops. My bad. Hold on. There's so much potential for Buggy, but I don't know how much Oda wants to follow through with it on. Whereas I think there's strong evidence that these characters, Oda is going to go hard on them. But if people want to keep Buggy in main character, that's okay. Okay, so beyond that, I don't want to do. If I were to guess who always, like, what kind of order of significance it's going to be for main characters, I think I've got something like this. I think in terms of main character focus, it's something like this. Sabo, Kobe. The only thing with Sabo is that he falls into the same category as Dragon as Revolutionary, and ultimately, as important as Sabo is going to be, he's not going to be more important than Dragon. Kobe's the most important good guy Marine. Vivi's the most important of, like, the world government monarchs and everything like that. Shanks the most important, like, pirate protagonist outside of Luffy. And Dragon speaks for himself. Buggy, obviously the next most important pirate protagonist outside of Luffy. Unless these two get their shit together. Aokiji, obviously part of the big spread. So arguably here. Mihawk, self-explanatory. Smoker, maybe based on hopes more than reality. Crocodile, brain of Cross Guilds. Garp, Monkey D, ton of story focus recently. Yada yada. Bonnie, we know the pacifista stuff is going to be very important inherently. She could even become a Straw Hat. Kid, if he's alive, I could see him being a main character. Law always will play a big role. Shirahoshi and Momonosuke simply by the nations that they command and their abilities and everything. Fujitora, the last good guy Marine, still in there. That's an Admiral plus character, right? Yeah, I like this list. I think this is actually a very strong list. So let me tell you right now what I think. Loki, if Loki survives this arc, I don't know why I keep talking about him like he might die. Oda doesn't kill characters that often, right? So Loki, let's assume Loki remains a character. He's either, at minimum, he's a big role. Higher end, he's a main character. It depends which direction Oda wants to go. He's just such a late game addition to the story. He's an incredibly late game addition to the story, so I'm hesitant to just be like, he's going to be a main character. Because it's literally like chapter 1130 that Loki's being introduced right before the final war fucking starts. But he's getting a ton of storytelling right now. I don't want to judge based on significance within the Elbaf arc because every character, like island to island, how significant characters are is different than the final war. But Loki could be in this. The mural is a discussion. Like, is that Loki depicted in the mural? Who's that in the mural? At minimum, he's with this group. Higher end, he's with this group. I think there's a lot of characters that fall in this category. I'm confident all of these characters are main characters. Buggy, I think, might not be as much. I think he might be still a big role no matter what, but we'll keep him here. Aokiji could be a main character. I agree with that. At the moment, I'm keeping him here to be conservative. I think everybody else, I'm confident, at least a big role. I think Garp might be a little bit lower. I think Garp could be a little bit lower. We might be a little bit overdoing it with Garp. Bonnie could be Straw Hat. Kid could be a main character. If he's back in the story, he legitimately has main character potential. Law, maybe? I don't know. I think Law we keep here. Makes sense. Momonosuke and Shirahoshi, I think, are good where they're at. I think they got most of their storyline in Wano. I think they just got to do one last thing, each of them in the final war. Still a bit more character writing for them. Fujitora, I think a lot of the meat of his story is to come in the final war, but I just don't think Oda's going to give him as much story focus. Notable players, I think these characters will all be pretty important. I think out of these characters, I would say this. I would say out of these characters, I could see Hancock having a big role. I could see her being higher. I could see Katakuri and Yamato. All of those characters, I think, could be in the big role category. Everybody else, I think, is pretty comfortable. Revolutionary commanders, it depends if Oda drops the ball with them or not. If he just did some cool designs, but ultimately he's not going to focus on them. But I'm going to give the benefit of the doubt and assume that they're good. These characters will all be in the mix. They'll all be in the fray. I think we'll see them in the story in different aspects and doing and saying things and all of that stuff, you know? And like having maybe even some little small action scenes and things like that, you know? These characters we'll see shots of them. They'll be involved, but they might not say much or like if we see a shot of that, like you could see a shot of, I don't know, Hideo punching someone in the background or something. Like I think they'll all get little bits and pieces of dialogue, but nothing crazy. Maybe little bits and pieces of action, but nothing crazy. Like not something that's memorable. These guys could all be a little bit more in the mix, you know? These characters I think I'll be watching from home. I like this. I like this list. I like this. NL's a villain. All right, everybody. I don't think I'm missing any supers at the moment. I think I got pretty much everything, right? How is Kid a main character? If he is brought back into the story, I think he would be brought back in the capacity of being a main character. If he is brought back. If he is not brought back, then he's just... like, for him, it's like extremes. Either he's in the story and he's a major character, either a big role or even main character status, or he's not in the story and then he's just like, he's, you know, down here with these guys, right? It's kind of, or like these guys, whatever. It's kind of all or nothing. What is Iceberg's role? So the world's gonna flood, right? And Iceberg basically created, like, his whole mission over the course of the time skip was setting it up so that Water 7 can float. That doesn't seem to be coincidental. So I do think that it's very possible that Water 7 ends up becoming a safe haven for as the flooding begins. So I think Iceberg's going to be involved. Beppo should be higher. Beppo didn't do anything in Wano, Dress Rosa, Punk Hazard. I think I almost put Beppo higher, but then I was like, oh, but maybe I'm being recency biased, because like when we had the Blackbeard battle with the Law Pirates, that was the first moment that we finally had like Beppo actually being like having dialogue and doing action and stuff. So that might be biasing us a bit to be like, Beppo does stuff, but it's like, in the grand scheme of things, it's much more like, based on arc after arc after arc, it's much more likely than not that Beppo is treated as like a super minor, almost background character. Considering the only, like, think about it like this, the Heart Pirates and the Blackbeard Pirates, their battle is probably the most that the story is ever going to focus on the Heart Pirates, right? Like, that's probably the peak, where we actually had a whole side battle for these characters and these characters alone, right? We cut away to just the Heart Pirates versus the Blackbeard Pirates. In the final war, when there's like a million groups and everything involved, it's unlikely. Like, just look at how the Heart Pirates have been treated in the past. So that is probably the most spotlight the Heart Pirates will have on them just individually. Heart Pirates versus a Yonko crew. So even that's probably the peak of Beppo's actions, you know? How much story he'd get. Yeah, we're not doing villains. We're just doing allies. We're basically seeing like the heroes. This is like what role, what level of impact will each hero have in the final war? Does that make sense? Villains, it's just like, that's like too damn... Then we don't even know who the final villains are necessarily. It gets very nitty gritty. It's like, do I think Vasco Shot is going to have more significance than fucking like Gorosei number 8, who we don't know, or something? I don't know. All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. People asking Blackbeard, what do you think? I mean, Blackbeard would obviously be like tippy top, right? Like, it's just villains. They're in their own category, right? To me, villains are in their own category. This is just we're rating the heroes. How much of a role do you think all of our favorite heroes are going to have in resolving this conflict? All right, everybody. Do I think Loki's a villain? No, the Loki's too hard to rank. If Loki's in, he's either going to be a big role or a main character. No real in between, I don't think. All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. I hope you guys had a good time. I'm really curious to see if like we're correct on a lot of this. And yeah, with that, I will talk. Sorry, with that, I will talk to you all later. I guess we just got to wait like 5 years to see how our predictions played out.